This episode of Now This Is Lit is brought to you by Audible. Check the link in the description to get your first Star Wars audiobook free. Everyone loves free things. Click that link. Do it. This show is also brought to you by our patrons. If you want to support the show in a different way, with just $1 a month, you can join our Patreon at patreon.com/StarWarsLitPod. You can get a sticker. You can get access to an exclusive show that we do every month that's wild and chaotic and fun and something you can only get by becoming a member of the Patreon. There'll be so many more perks very, very soon. But for now, do you want a sticker? Do you want a sticker that has a Now This Is Lit logo? Because it's fantastic and I love them. But I also want to give them away because there's just a stack of stickers on my desk. So if you want one, $1 a month. Patreon.com/StarWarsLitPod. A long time ago in a galaxy far, far away. You're listening to Now This Is Lit, a podcast about Star Wars books, the people who make them, and the readers who just can't get enough of them. I'm your host, Meg Dowell. I use she, her pronouns. I didn't realize this until I was sitting down to record this intro, but it has been almost 2 years. I thought it was one. It's almost been 2 since I first had Adam Lance Garcia on the show to talk about his first short story set in the Star Wars universe. But it's been 2 years, apparently, because what is time? And he has a new story out in Star Wars Insider, the same issue that I was published in, so we're twinning, and I love that. And partially because of that, mostly because the story is really good, I had to have Adam back on the show to talk about being a published Star Wars author and how that feels. And as we started talking about this specific story, we then got into talking about writing in general, not just writing for Star Wars, but why writing is so hard and why dreaming of being a writer is so difficult to turn into a reality. But he's done it. I'm on my way to doing it. And if it's ever something that you think you want to do, I think this is a conversation you really might want to listen to. But also, the short story is great. We do spoil it a little bit, actually a lot, but that's okay. So read the story first. It's in issue 233. It just came out. You can get it probably at your library. Libby has it, at least at my library. Read that, and then listen to our conversation. It was so good to have Adam back on the show. And I hope you enjoy listening to this conversation as much as we enjoyed having it. No, but yeah, I feel the same way where it's like, this is only the second interview that I've had come out in the magazine, but it doesn't feel real.
Right.
Like, it does not feel real. Like, your name is there.
Yeah.
The thing that you did is there. You
Yeah.
can look at it. You can feel it. You can hold it. It doesn't feel real. And that to me is still like, because I would hear authors talk about this all the time where it's like, oh yeah, I have a new book out today, but I don't believe it. And I'm like, what do you mean? Well, this is it. It just doesn't feel like you actually did the thing.
I will say there have been plenty of times in the last few years when, like, either there's some stress, whether that be like work related or world related or anything related, where I'm like, I wrote a Star Wars, so I think I'm gonna be okay. But even then, it doesn't feel real because it's like I will sometimes just like look at the book on my bookshelf to be like, oh right. I did that, I use some more expletives. I'm like, I effing did that. And to be like, it never feels real. And I always tell myself, like, the moment it starts feeling as rote as it feels like, oh, this is just how it is, then I should probably stop. And I'm nowhere near that. So
yeah. Anytime I get the email that's like, yeah, Lucasfilm liked your pitch, and I'm like, what?
Yeah.
Excuse me?
I still remember the feeling very, very vividly. The first email I got of, would you like to write a Star Wars? Or it's actually the way Elizabeth wrote it was like, would you like to write a Star War? I was very happy that I was kneeling down at like cleaning out my sink because if I was standing, I was going to fall over. And mind you, I kind of knew it was coming. I had a lot of reasons to believe it was going to happen.
Mm.
But even then, it stopped. It didn't take away from the moment of like, oh my God. And when this one came in, it was just like it was like Lucasfilm thinks you says you'd be really good to write a short story for in Star Wars Insider. Would you like to do it? And you get like this tunnel vision of like,
Mm.
I are you kidding me? Really?
Mhm.
Are you sure that you're thinking of the right Adam
Yeah.
Garcia? Do you not want Adam Garcia, best known for Coyote Ugly and Confessions of a Teenage Drama Queen? Um, so yeah, it never gets old. It never gets old. I never want to get old. And but yeah,
Yeah. But you did it.
I did it. I did it again, and I did like the darkest version of it.
Oh, I reread it because I read it when it
Yeah.
came out, and then I reread it today as I was um writing some questions for you, and I kind of sat there for a minute when I was done, and I was like, "This is really dark. This is
Yeah.
Star Wars."
It's really dark for a Star Wars. But it's well, we can get into it, but it was I was surprised that they let me get as dark as we did. But I mean, I think it was, when they wanted a story that's set during Revenge of the Sith. I mean,
Mm,
there's really, I mean, that's it. Just I felt like I needed to stay close to what was happening tonally with the era at the time.
mm.
So
So when they came to you and they were like, "Do you want to write a short story
yeah,
for Insider?"
yeah.
Um, how much did you know, or how much like how freedom did you have to kind of choose like what you were writing about?
So basically they were like, we want something that's set during Revenge of the Sith. Part of the sort of larger initiative that you've seen across all different aspects of publishing and the releases. There's something to be a part of the 20th anniversary of
Mm,
Revenge of the Sith. So there was like, we want a story set during Revenge of the Sith. Send us some pitches. We sent
mm,
them some pitches. And there was some that I liked, some that that I was like, this might work, but let me put it out there. They wanted five. I think I sent, yeah, I think they wanted three. I sent them five. But the one that won out was the one that I was hoping for,
mm.
which is what eventually became The Failing of the Light. It was the biggest swing I could take, and I am still amazed that they let me do it. Yeah, I mean, it's like it was. It's, I was like, I think this. I like it was when you put together pitches, and this is like for anyone who ever gets to this point. Like when you always gonna put together pitches for these, you hope that one of them lands that resonates. And there are some that you feel better than others. Like with Dexter Jester, with from a certain point of view, like I knew what that story was before I even pitched it. I kind of felt it in my bones. But when they said to me, like, do you want to do, Revenge of the Sith story? We maybe this, maybe that, but send us some of your options. I started looking at different things I could do, and the one that just felt like I was excited about was again the story that eventually became The Failing of the Light. It's just the the possibilities both thematically and and also like in terms of lore, in terms of the mixing and matching of eras.
Mm.
It just felt so much like there's just so much more meat on the bone of all the pictures that I sent in. I was like, oh, I could see. I always try to like look at my stories like, can I say something with this, or do I feel something? Does it make me feel something? And that was easily. It was like this is it. This is the one I'm crossing my agent and I were kind of we went over the list and we're like, what we think the strongest. We put this story like as number one because like we know this is the strongest one. And they let me do it. I'm still shocked they did. Yeah.
Yeah, so they were like, write a Revenge of the Sith story, and you come in with, oh, but what if also the Path of the Open Hand? Um, which, um, how did you come to wanting to kind of tie that into?
I mean I've said this both in private and publicly. I think the High Republic Initiative is such a great example of adding the more content they added to the storyline, the more context it gave to the wider galaxy, and it deepened and added so much more texture to the galaxy as we understood it. I mean, I am unapologetically someone who grew up with Legends, the Legends novels. If you're watching this on video, you can sort of see a bookshelves. That's my canon bookshelves. There's a closet next to it. If you can't see this, if you're listening to this on audio, there's a closet next to it with my basically near complete collection of Legends. So I grew up on all of these books. I've been collecting them, for the most part. Those are the books I bought as they were being published. There were some that I had to replace because of water damage and things like that. But what I loved about that era was like how expansive it felt. Especially like the new Jedi Order, all the post Return of the Jedi stuff. You just kept on expanding the galaxy. The thing that I always felt was kind of limiting about that era, of the Legends era in general, was that they tended to sort of fall into the Jedi versus Sith. Um, like as much as I love Knights of the Old Republic, again, it's Jedi versus Sith. The New Jedi Order was interesting because it had the Yuuzhan Vong. A lot of the post Return of the Jedi era stuff was the New Republic versus the Imperial Remnant. Then you have even sort of Legacy of the Force or Fate of the Jedi. Those are, again, Jedi versus Sith in some sort of capacity. What's really fascinating about the High Republic, and that is sort of evidenced by the Path of the Open Hand, is that it adds a new dimension and understanding to how we see and view the Force. I would never say that I'm a student of religion, but I find religions fascinating. I've done a lot of reading about Islam, and I'm half Jewish and half Catholic, so that's confusing. But I'm also I love learning about how religions are formed. And what I think the High Republic did really, really, really well is say, one thing that we know about the Star Wars galaxy is that in many ways their religion is real. They believe in the Force. That is a real thing. And for the longest time, as evidenced in Legends, and what we understood about the original trilogy and things like that, and the prequel trilogy, it's again, there was this binary choice, Jedi versus Sith. And the High Republic says, it's not a binary choice. It's also, you have this cult, you have this sect, you have the church. That's something that was introduced in The Force Awakens with the Church of the Force. It just kept on adding dimensions and dimensions and dimensions. And then you have the Path of the Open Hand, who is extremely extremist view on the Force, which is you cannot touch it at all. And that just fascinated me because it felt like a believable sect that could have happened or formed at any point during the formation of all these other Force religions. It's just this extremist view on the Force. And then it was well, how would they feel about if they were still around, if the Jedi being extinguished? This is the thing they've always wanted, the Jedi being burnt down. And it just felt like such a interesting question to ask, and I really wanted to answer it because again, it's just in the same way that why did I put Dexter Jettster in Return of the Jedi? Is it kind of the same reason why I put Path of the Open Hand in Revenge of the Sith? It's I'm kind of curious as to see how they respond. How they feel about this thing that you and I know as a tragedy, but to them as this great, this ultimate victory. So it's just really, it was just interesting. It was just an interesting story and an interesting sort of idea. Then you go sort of have to figure out what does the path look like at this point in time, knowing what happens in canon. But that is a completely different conversation to what you asked.
Oh, my train of thought. Where did it go?
I don't know.
No.
It's a good thing you can edit this.
Oh,
The train's
it's so
gone.
good. It's so good that I can just talk through it because it was such a
Yeah.
good way to go forward. It's not coming back. It's
It's
not
okay.
coming back. That's okay. Um, I think what is so cool about, wait, do I have it? Did it come back? It was really good. Adam, it was so good.
I believe in you, Meg.
Oh, no. Um,
Okay.
this is the first interview I've done in so long. It's fine. Um, I think it's so cool because something that I started to realize as more High Republic books were coming out is that at some point the High Republic series as we knew it was going to end, but the
Hmm.
High Republic was now going to become this whole other part of canon that could
Yes.
speak to
Yep.
more canon. And that
Hmm.
happened with the Living Force. It's happened with other things.
Jedi Fallen
Um,
Order and
Fallen
Jedi,
Order,
yeah,
yes. Yes.
yeah,
Oh,
like that whole series.
yes.
It was Fallen Order, then it was
Survivor.
Survivor. Yeah,
Yes.
that's the one that where they have like it actually tied directly into
Yeah,
the
yeah,
High
yeah.
Republic. Yeah,
Yeah.
no, yeah, I completely agree. But you continue.
Yeah, it's I think it's really cool that in itself the High Republic is leaving this legacy, but now you kind of get to be a part of that.
It's so
Um
cool.
it's so cool because like
It's not
so
gonna
cool.
stop ever being cool. Go on.
No, that's it. That's
Yeah.
it. Because you've written a short story that ties into the High Republic, which is this whole other thing.
Mm,
You know what people are going to do now? They're going to take your short story and they're going to pull things from that. The path of the open hand is not gone. You've now
mm.
established this.
Yeah. Well, I think that's to that point something that Tony Gilroy actually said it really well. He talked about in making Andor about putting more toys back in the box than you took
Mm,
out. And I've said I think that's a better way than phrasing it than I had, which is like I if I'm so lucky to do more Star Wars, my mentality that I had with Dex, the mentality I had with this short story is I don't necessarily want to be like answering all questions.
mm,
Like there's so many in between periods that are really interesting. Like I think they've done such a great job in the comics and in the book, sort of like filling narrative gaps, and sort of like answering questions. I really personally, what I hope to do more of is open more doors. And I
mm.
think to your point, that's what the High Republic did a really good job
Yeah.
of. Like I'm fascinated by the Pathfinders in Phase 2. Like
Yes.
I want more stories like that. I really want from Phase 1, like all the stories with the vessel that we haven't heard. I think that is like the greatest gift that the High Republic gave, which is like little like clues like that, like in even the Light of the Jedi, where they're talking about how like at some point like the Jedi were like massive and they shrank down to like a handful of people, and you're like, okay, well, what happened there? Like
Mm,
it just opens up these narrative doors, and what I sort of think of a lot of is like with this story, for example, is that I know that I'm planting this flag. I am planting a very small little tiny flag that says, there was these two members of the Path of the Open Hand that we know of during Order 66 or like the end of the Clone Wars. And what I hope it does is it gives authors license to sort of and Lucasfilm in general figure out like are there more stories both before and after, like what happens to Jessa after this story, what happened to Tunep before we meet her. This the even sort of just to go to give into my line of thinking, it's like there's a reason why Tunep is her age is 150. It doesn't necessarily line up with the end of phase two. Like the implication is that she is. I mean, mind you, I want to be very clear. This is my headcanon. So my headcanon is like she sort of knew the sort of second generation or just saw the last bit of the last generation of like the survivors of the Path of the Open Hand, because it allows for like just more room to play. Like it doesn't close any doors. It doesn't tell anyone like this is definitively what happened. Why is her view of the path of the Force should be free so extreme, even compared to like where the elders of the path were. So it's you just give a little bit like that little bit of wiggle room, so anyone can sort of play. And even like to that respect, like there's the Atrix. which is introduced in this speech in this story. Which let me tell you, getting the note because there's another species Tunep was originally, and they're like, well, this character wouldn't live this long, this species wouldn't live this long. Feel free to create your own species.
Yeah.
And they also gave some suggestions, but I just sat giggling for like 20 minutes. And but like I took it very seriously. Like I was like very much like, all right, how do I want to create this? Like there was a period of time I was going to use one of those suggestions, but I couldn't resist. I mean, like when's the next time I'm going to do this? I don't know. But it was also like if you notice in the way I describe the Atrix, it's like it's horns on her face, and mottled skin. I avoid anything more specific than that. And that's in part because I wanted to make sure that Lucasfilm and any other creators, any other artists that come in, have the sort of wiggle room to play and really define that species in ways that like are probably better than anything I could have come up with. Um, but I'm just it's about planting the flags, giving sort of like, all right, this is where we know it's going to go. This is where it might have been. Um, because other writers and other creators will do something even better with it.
Mm, I love that. It's like you're all just you're writing stories for us, but also
Hmm.
kind of like for each other and for like
Yeah.
future. And it all
Well,
connects.
yeah. I'm a big believer. Like people have. There's someone who's like, oh, I can't. I really want to read a prequel. I'm like, that's just Ireland and Atisha Grattan's. That's them. You read their book. It was Path of Vengeance. That where they're introduced. Like, read that. That's where you start. Like, I talk a lot about how my Dexter Jester story owes a lot to Chuck Wendig, and sort of like the implication that the diner was closed. I think in some ways, you are playing. These are not my toys. I'm playing with other people's toys, but you're also playing with these toys with other people. And the more you yes and the more you play nice, the more you're able to sort of think inside the box, the better the story becomes because like I can talk about it with Dex. It's like, every time I picked him in part because I was like, oh, there's no canon. I can do whatever I want. But then you realize like, well, okay, well, if this is true, well, how would he react? What would he do? In the same sense with this story, it's just like, okay, well, I got parameters, where what we could say and what I could do with the path. And like, okay, so that actually helped me with the story because it meant it's just knowing those limitations and making sure you're working well with the other creators. It's also just fun. It's fun. Like, it's again, you're picking up the stuff and you're like, oh, wow. What will Cavan Scott do with this? Not that he's going to do anything, but I swear to God, if Cavan, if and I've known Cavan for a very long time, but like, if he ever picks up one of like, if he were to pick up a story from this, I would be very. I'm a fan of Cavan. Like, I was a fan before I was a friend. Um, so if he ever did anything with anything I would put down, I would explode.
Um, Guess what? I remembered what it was.
Oh.
Um, it came back. Um, Something else that I really, really loved about the story is I've been saying forever that what I want someone to do at some point is like give me an entire anthology that's just Order 66
Mm,
happening all over the galaxy. And I want to
mm,
see all these different perspectives of like all these things are happening, but no one really
yeah.
understands what's going on.
Yeah.
How are different people reacting? And this is a good example of like you're seeing this from the perspective of someone who's kind of a little bit happy about it. Kind
More
of a
than a
little bit
little.
like more than a little. And it was so almost, I want to say refreshing because we're so used to, watching Revenge of the Sith and seeing this
Hmm.
from the Jedi perspective. And like, I'm sitting here crying because this is so sad.
Right.
But now we're reading the story and we're like, oh, like, no, not everyone felt that way. Like, this is actually maybe like the best thing that's ever happened to her. And like,
Yeah.
it's so good.
Thank you. I mean that's again why I was like I wanted to do this Path of the Open Hand story because it was like there are people who are happy that aren't the Sith. You know, there are people who would look at what happened and be like, this is exactly what we've always dreamed of. Again, it's like it's the gift of the High Republic. You're like,
Yeah.
again, you have this cult that's like would be so happy. So you ask that like, well, how would they react? And
Yeah.
yeah, no, I think and as like a student of history, like you look back at things that you and I would consider abhorrent. There were people at the time who thought it was great, and vice versa. You know,
Mm-hmm.
there are plenty of things that have happened in my life that I know are morally right, and are considered by some to be the opposite. So you ask like that's the great thing about Star Wars as a galaxy. I think to praise Tony Gilroy again, it's like you realize there's so much in the galaxy that you can say and use and explore that I don't think I even appreciated when I was a kid. I think that's actually something that I've been thinking a lot about with this story and Dex now. That these are two stories that if you, I mean, look, the very first, I think I said this to you on the first time I was on, the first Star Wars I ever wrote was Star Wars: The Dark Crystal. I did not finish it. It was set post Return of the Jedi story with Luke, and it was gonna have some sort of magical crystal in Endor. Jason, Jaina, and Anakin had an appearance. Um, it was very much like these action adventure stories, and that's kind of what I thought I was going to write. And so I've sort of been pleasantly surprised by the kinds of stories I'm telling with Star Wars now that I don't know what my 12-year-old self would think. I actually like I don't know how he would feel, the kid who read the glove of Darth Vader. It's just like, hey, I wrote a Star Wars. I made this fun character really sad, and then I made some like this person kill a Jedi. It's it's not exactly what the 12-year-old Adam would really want, but here we are. Get ready to feel some stuff, kid.
I mean, it really does speak to like how much our life experiences
Oh yeah,
influence what we write. Like, yep, I've been writing some pretty dark stuff, and I'm like, where's this coming
yeah.
from? And I'm like,
Oh
oh, because
yeah,
I have lived through so much.
yeah. No, my partner talks about how like I'm a like if you ever meet me like I'm really this is kind of my energy all the time, but like the stuff I write just gets really dark. I'm working on an original novel right now, and I don't know where it's all coming from
Yep.
because like it's just like but there's just stuff in there. I'm like, oh boy, you know,
Yeah.
I'm clearly processing some things.
Yeah. Yeah. Which is like I love writing from the perspective of writers because it's
Yeah,
like, oh, like we are in the things that we write.
yeah,
And you wouldn't know that necessarily. Like someone reading your insider short story who doesn't know you
oh yeah.
doesn't know that, but like you're putting so much of yourself into it, and that's what
Mhm.
makes it so like that like when writers do that, that's what makes it good.
Yeah.
Um
I do worry that people like will meet me and they're like if they've only read The Failing of the Light, they're just like you must be like goth, and I'm like just so, like again like I'm kind of like a golden retriever, just kind of like bouncing around like "Oh, this is great, everything's good," and then and then I write that story.
but you wrote a Star War, and that's
I
so
wrote a Star
cool.
Wars. I
You
wrote
did
a Star Wars
again,
again.
again,
It's
again.
it's so weird.
It's so
Meg,
weird.
it doesn't stop being. It's just so like I look. It's funny because it's like I think what's something that I try to impart to because I'm sure you and many of your listeners there's always someone like who wants to write a Star Wars. Like I think that's the dream for so many of us. I mean, but the thing that I want to say is like, a reminder, like this took me like 20 something years to get to this
Mm,
point. I'm
mhm,
42. I
mhm,
mean, I worked really hard to get to this point. So when I say that and I'm 42, I still like, I get giddy. I get
mm.
so giddy thinking about this and just like, I feel like I feel bad for the people around me because I'm just like, look at this thing that I did, and I'm like this like bouncing around 40-year-old man. And I'm like, ah, but because it's just again, it's when I say that writing for Star Wars is the reason I started writing, it's the reason why I do what I do. That is not an over that is not an overstatement. Like it is literal fact. Like this is, I mean, the dream still is to write a novel. I pray to God that one day that might happen. But even just these two, I mean, like this is just. I mean, I worked like every 42 years, like from like well 30 if you want to get really specific. When I first read Glove of Darth Vader, like because I look at that book and I'm just like, not that Glove of Darth Vader's great literature. It's not. It is, but it definitely. I look back and I'm just like, I remember reading it and I'm like, oh, there's more stories. Like because I loved A
Yes.
New Hope and Empire and Return of the Jedi. But it's like, oh, there's more. Like I want to do that. I want to tell more stories. Look, I'm not sure you can't see it because I'm a little it's a little blurry because of the way the settings are. But there's a picture here that I'm pointing at. If you're seeing this on video, and if you're not listening to this on audio, you're screwed. But there's an illustration that I've had since I was 12, 1995. And I got an illustration from the artist from the Jedi Prince series, June Brigman, of Luke. And so like I have like a like actual physical example of like, oh no, this is what has been driving me forward forever. And I'm really excited. I commissioned a Ray illustration from her for at Comic-Con this near Comic-Con this year, so I can have like the like at this like bookending of my life of like as this fan and now as a writer in these two different eras. So yeah, I mean, like, so that's all a long way of saying it's just since that book, and I was like, oh, there's more there. People can do this. People can write more Star Wars. I want to write more Star Wars.
Yeah.
It took
Yeah.
me a long time. It took me a real long time.
No, I had the same reaction when I was a kid and I watched all the Star Wars movies that were out at the
Yeah.
time for the first
Yeah.
time. And my dad had to break the news to me that Revenge of the Sith hadn't come out yet. And I was like, what do you mean there
Mm.
are no more movies? And he was like, but you know what there are? There are books because I
Mhm.
love to read. And he's like, let's go to the library and find one. And I don't remember exactly what the first, maybe it was maybe Galaxy of Fear, one of them.
Oh man,
Maybe.
I own the first two. I have not read them, but yeah,
Um,
what a way to
and I just,
start.
yeah, wild, I know. But I had this moment, I was like, oh, like that Star Wars is not just the movies that I've
Mm.
seen, and
Yeah.
then there's that exactly what the books are meant to do is like expanding this universe that you've fallen in love with to be like, oh, I can read all these other
Mm.
stories, and then, me wanting to tell stories. And I was like, well, maybe I can write one, and I tried, but it takes a long time. It takes a
It
long
takes a long
time
time.
to, yeah.
Yeah, I'll put it this way, you're a lot further along than I was at your age. So you're fine.
Yeah,
I mean,
but again,
you're already writing for them, so
yeah.
it's a non-zero chance.
But listen, kind of like you, I worked for a long time, for a
Yeah.
long time to get here. Um, and that's what it takes. And it's like, and we don't say that to discourage anyone. It's just like, if you're gonna do it, you got to start and you got to just keep going.
Keep on. You have to
Yeah.
keep on doing it. Like I think I what's been exciting like this last couple of years, ever since from a certain point of view came out, Return of the Jedi, it was a life-changing moment because I've been writing, like, if anyone's ever like you can look on Amazon or I might have to update my website, but if you ever look at like my bibliography, like, I've been writing fairly consistently for since about 2008. Lots of short stories for a small press. Pulp, which is sort of like, action adventure superhero, sort of like superhero stories. The Green Llama is the one that I wrote a lot of. A lot of that was pro bono work. I mean, necessarily recommend that, but I'm just saying for that's what happened with me,
Mhm.
or really small commissions. But it was like basically writing every single night, like I would stay
Mhm.
up to 2 o'clock in the morning
Yep.
when I had the energy to do that because your 20s, you can do anything.
Yes.
Um, like sitting up to like midnight, like 2 o'clock
Oh
in the morning,
God.
writing
Yeah.
short stories and still waking up at 8 o'clock and feeling like nothing happened. But like I'd write every day. I'd write every single day. I pound the pavement. Like my writing career began because I basically pounded the pavement at New York Comic Con for years and made connections with editors, and then those editors liked me enough to recommend me to others, and like it built up my career. I mean, I was lucky that I had I had another career in entertainment that I'm still doing to this day, but I was able to you know slowly build that up to the point that I got to be invited into from a certain point of view. And since then, there's been a lot more writing work, and even then I want to like give like understanding again because I want to give like the realities of it. Like I'm still working a J job and
Mhm.
but I'm also like on the train working on another project for another publisher, finishing up another thing and just constantly juggling them because it's like I know this is what I want to do. This
Mhm.
is what I'm dreaming of. The hustle doesn't stop, I finally have an agent and still like just working on the novel, working on this freelance content, stuff that's not Star Wars, but like it's the constant writing. And I think that's like the thing. It's just like there's a lot of people uh, who want to have written a book, but they don't actually want to write the book.
Mhm.
And that the writing the book is the hardest part.
Yeah.
Actually, that's the hardest part. The second hardest part is letting someone read it.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
The next part is taking notes, and taking notes is something I've gotten, I hope, a bit better at. I don't, I think, yeah. So,
Yeah. I mean, I think in college when I was doing my first internship and the only things I had written were blog posts and how many cold emails I sent to
hmm
magazine editors to be like begging like, can I write for free? Can I write an article
yeah,
for you? Do you need this? Can I
yep,
post something to your website? And like that's just like that's what I had to do. And I just kept doing that until finally someone's like, let me pay you to do this.
yeah. I,
You know?
I mean, and these are true stories. So yeah, God, it was like what, almost 13 years ago now. I happened to be at San Diego Comic Con, and Shelley Shapiro was at the Star Wars booth. And if anyone doesn't know, Shelley Shapiro was one of the chief editors on the Star Wars Bantam books and Del Rey books for
Mhm.
most of no, it's the Del Rey books when it moved over. And I was talked to her for a bit, and she was very kind. I sent her some samples, and nothing ever came of it. But I found out as recently as last year that her assistant Tom Holler got that, and then the letter, and he put it aside as a potential future Star Wars author.
Mm.
That was that many years ago, and then a decade ago, uh, I was waiting online to get the copy of E.K. Johnston's Ahsoka signed because again, I'm as much as I'm a Star Wars author, like I'm a huge Star Wars prose and print fan. Like I mean, I actively collect these books, and I want to emphasize that. Like I sometimes will get these books that I will still then buy the Goldsboro and Inkstone editions, or the out of print editions because I want that's my collecting. So I'm a fan. So I'm waiting to get a signature from EK and Ashley Eckstein, and the guy who's leading. This is true. The guy who's like guiding the. Sorry, I'm getting a little emotional talking about this because this is so cool. Who's controlling the line? I stopped next to him, and we start talking, and his name is Mike Siglain, and he is the creative director of Lucasfilm Publishing. And I'm like, oh, like I'm a son, I'm like I'm a writer, this and the other thing. Um, and he gives me his card, and I still have that card to this day. I emailed him. He did not get back to me, but he's since then just he's made so many dreams come true. That man. Yeah, I mean, like just again, like just to give you perspective, like that's where I was. I was literally waiting online, and I happened to talk to the right person, and he gave me his card, and now I'm working with him. And yeah, any great thing you ever heard about Mike Siglain is true,
Hmm.
and it's actually probably like a toned down version of how great he is. So um, yeah, take
And
a
I will,
bullet for that
yeah,
man. So,
I will say that like, um, if anyone out there does get to a point where they are working with some of these people, these are some of the greatest people I've ever met in my life.
yeah,
They will go above and beyond to try to get you to where you want to be. And like now I'm getting emotional because like that's how it is. And like we're so lucky, I think,
yeah.
to have them.
It's really amazing. Like what's been so nice, and I've talked about this before, and I'll repeat myself. Like, I think of like Lydia Kang, Mike Chen, Zoraida, Cavan. I've already mentioned Charles. Chuck Wendig. Oh God, Delilah Dawson. And that's just a short list of the authors I can think of off the top of my head that I've had the chance to either work with or get to meet. Jason Fry in some capacity or another, and uh, without question, they're just the both like the kindest people because they all sort of like understand like what it means to join this world and to do this because they were there, and they're just so they're just so excited for you to do the thing. Like, oh, Ethan Sachs is another one. Like everyone's just like sitting there being like, "You're great. We're so happy you're here." Um, it's a really genuinely supportive environment.
It is.
Good humans.
Yes. It makes writing about, writing for, interacting with
Mhm.
Star Wars stories a thousand times better. Because like that was, I'll be honest, like when I started doing the show, I had that worry. I was like, what if
Mhm.
like all of these authors and people that I've been looking up to and reading and admiring for so long are not good
Yeah.
people? I was
Yeah.
wrong. I'm so glad I was wrong. They're all so
Yeah.
like I still get so nervous when I'm like reaching out to someone about an interview because I'm like, oh, they're gonna say no, they don't care. And every single time it's like, yeah, of course. Like, of
Yeah.
course I want to talk about Star Wars because
Yeah.
that's why we're all here.
Yeah. Like it's funny. It's like one of my dearest friends is Kristen Baver at Lucasfilm. And once she was in New York once, and me and another friend of ours were getting dinner, and like he had asked, like, do you ever get tired of talking about Star Wars? And she's like, I was worried about that, but I've never
Mm.
gotten to that point. And you find that, like, I find that as well. Like, I'm just not. I mean, that might come to that point at some point, but I find that I'm just eager to talk about it. I'm excited to talk. I'm like, just give me an excuse. Like I try, like I did something recently where I for my day job where I was just like I had to like tell the person who worked on a lot of Star Wars and like just I need to be mindful of like I know I just want to talk about Star Wars. That's all I want to talk about. Like I literally just like it was like literally the day after or was the yeah it was the day after or the yeah it was the day after Family of Light came out, and like I just want to talk about that. I just want to talk about the Star Wars he worked on. But I also have to be like, well, I'm not the only audience member for this thing that I'm making, so I have to talk about the other things that are genuinely very, very interesting, and I'm really excited for everyone to see what we did. But yeah, I think it's also it's not just like that everyone's kind and good. It's just like they seem to like I don't know. It's just even now being on the inside of it, I think the thing that I was sort of really to your point, like you're like worrying about like if I'm gonna work with these people, like how they're gonna actually be and they're gonna be nice people and stuff like that. What I was sort of concerned was like, will this taint this love of something that I've
Mm.
had for so long? And I can honestly say like it's only just kind of deepened it because again, like I'm getting to explore it and I get to play in that in this amazing sandbox. Uh, it's just, yeah, it's like I feel like I like it's weird. Like I I love Star Wars more now that I've been inside it and written for it than I think I did before. Because I think I it's a couple things. It's not just and I want to be clear, like there's I don't love everything. You know, I think anyone who sits there and says like they unequivocally love everything with Star Wars, like there's things that you like and things that you don't. There's like I think what's great about Star Wars in general is that there's so many different flavors. You know, like I know what flavors I like. I sometimes the flavors I don't think I'm gonna like. A good example is like I was not excited for Andor. That was a show that I'm like, I don't, who wants this? It's probably one of my favorite things ever. There are things that I've been really excited for that didn't measure up to my hopes. There are things that have exceeded my hopes. It's all like this is all the way to say like I I don't want anyone to ever think like you will always love every single aspect of Star Wars, but because it's such a vast galaxy, it's so diverse in every single way. There's always something for you to discover. But what I found in writing it is I've come to realize how deep it is. I've sort of insinuated that already today, um, but I don't think. In fact, I I know for a fact that I did not have the appreciation for just how deep this galaxy could be until I started writing it. Because there's and as much as I love the pew 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 and the lightsabers and the action and adventure and the pulp aspect of Star Wars, because that's what made me fall in love with it. The moment I started writing it, I'm like, oh, there's so much. Like you can like it's just you keep on digging and like with Jessa, for example, with her story, and you're like you start exploring like, well, what would the Clone Wars be like for someone who doesn't understand why the war started, who's losing everything because of this war. You just like you're just like, oh, there's so much more. And I think that's I've said this other places like there are other franchises that have that sort of depth. I think like Star Trek has a lot that you can mine. I think Doctor Who to different degrees has a lot that you can mine. But because Star Wars is set in a galaxy far, far away, because it's set like it has no like direct connection to Earth, and because it's sort of a space fantasy, and it has just infinite worlds and infinite timelines. Like you have billions of trillions of planets in thousands, hundreds of thousands of years to explore. Yeah, I think writing Star Wars has made me fall in love with it more because I realize what you can do with it.
Mm. And I'm so glad you got to do it again.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's really, really, really cool. And
thank you.
yeah, that's why I wanted to have this conversation because um one, because I think more people should get it, Insider, and read it.
Yeah.
All of it, the interviews, the short stories, all of it. But also, you are one of many writing Star Wars who is just so passionate about it. And um those are fun conversations to have because I just like talking about the things in Star Wars that I love, and one of those things is that I love Star Wars. And so it's
Yes.
it's good, and it's good to be here, and it was good to talk to you again.
Yeah.
Um
It's great to talk to you too.
yeah.
Hopefully we'll do more of this. Do
Oh
you, do
yeah.
you What is there anything any questions you can ask you want to answer I can answer or vice versa that I that you know what do you want to know?
I don't know.
Um, well, let's see. Because I mean, it is a short story, so it's not like there's several different plot lines that I can go through. I will say what was interesting writing this story was in the same way that like that one of the big challenges I kind of gave myself was like how do I write this from a perspective from a character who doesn't know anything about what's going on.
Mhm.
So like again, and I want to be clear, like this is my head canon.
Mhm.
This is not canon until Lucasfilm says it's canon. This is Adam headcanon. Take it for what you will. Do not write a Wikipedia article about this. The like for example, like the building that like Jessa and Tunep live in when there's like the Battle of Coruscant and that gets destroyed. My thinking is that's a piece of the Invisible Hand that gets like broken off and like
Mm.
hits the building and takes it down. I mean, but that's also something I picked up from Alexander Freed's like Reign of the Empire, Mask of Fear, where you're like, oh well, like again, it's sort of to our early point in the conversation. But it's like now we know that there were whole sections of Coruscant that were destroyed. It was never said before, but it was like, of course, that would make sense. So like, how do you explore that from someone who's in there and like so you can like oh maybe that was what hit the building which caused it to collapse. Yeah, I will say there was a draft of this that had a more explicit like not explicit in an explicit sense but like much more like direct like it telling you exactly what happened
Mm.
at the end. But we went with a slightly more ambiguous ending. Um, and I feel like it's darker somehow.
It is. It
It's
is.
just like you kind of know what's gonna happen, but like there was the original draft where they're like she like broke open the pit and
Mm.
like you're just like, but I think this version is much better, and I have to give a lot of credit to my partner who we read over it, and she helped me rewrite that ending, and I think it's yeah, it made it better. It just made it significantly better. Because I remember like we were kind of like going over it and I read it. And I'm like, oh, that's dark.
Yeah.
I swear to God, I'm actually a really fun guy. I'm really, I feel bad for Riza. I feel really, or right. And also, I will say again, with most of my characters that I write, until I have sort of my pronunciation. If you pronounce them differently, that's fine. I'm not going to tell you how to. I'm not going to like I'm not going to say like you must pronounce it as like this. It's like Riza Ari or Air. See, I'm not even sure. Um, so Jessicor, that's how I pronounce it. Yeah, that's named after two friends. And yeah, coming up with Star Wars names is fun too. Let me tell you that much. Like yeah, like I have a notes app on my phone where I just start like adding like names as I come up with them, and sometimes I'll take like people's names and mix and match them. And it's also it's another interesting challenge is like, and this is like where my Legends brains comes in, where like I start like adding apostrophes in the middle of everyone's name, and I have to kind of like pull back on that because that's it's a very Legends sort of era. But yeah, coming up with Star Wars names fun. Highly recommend. 10 out of 10.
Oh, I'm so glad that you had so much fun. I mean, like, as much as
I
writing
wrote
is
this in
work.
Meg. I wrote this in 9 days. I
What?
like. I
No.
wrote like yeah. I'm I don't want to say notoriously slow writer. I've gotten a lot better at writing faster. This thing came out of me. It was just in 9 days. I was like
Mm.
I wrote a draft that it is very close to what got published. Just like little changes, really like that the ending we discussed, but yeah, I don't think I've ever written anything that I mean that fast. Because it's just like it was just waiting for me. And that's the thing, like it's always it's funny. There's some stories like there's a novel that I wrote that I might go back to and I might revise it. That was a struggle to come out of me. Just I'm not, and it's I don't know how it reads. I've heard it's not great, but it hasn't been it's not published yet. But like that was a struggle. Like there are some stories you're right. You're just like it just pours out of you, and that was the story.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I've had that experience too where I'm like the idea and the story came to me. I didn't ask for it
Mhm.
and kind of just poured out like, oh, we're doing this now.
Yeah,
And you get that feeling of like, well, I guess this is what I'm supposed to be writing because I can't actually stop it. Um,
yeah,
it is happening, whether I want it to or not.
yeah.
Um, and that doesn't always happen. And of
No,
course,
it does not.
you're gonna have moments where you're like, even this thing that I'm enjoying writing is getting a little bit hard because that's what happens when you write things.
Yeah,
But still, it's like you still have in the back of your mind, like, oh, like this idea came to me. This story
yeah,
came to me. So I gotta like keep going, I guess.
yep. The weirdest thing, and I'll talk about this all the time, is when the characters start doing things that
Yes.
you do, you're like, and I don't know how to describe it. Like because I remember having an argument with a friend of mine, where I was like, yeah, like sometimes the characters just do things that you didn't plan and you don't want them to do, but they're doing it anyway, and it makes the story better. And they're like, what do you mean? And I'm like, they just do their own thing. Like you're writing it. I'm like, yes, but
Yeah.
you they start doing things and honestly like I think there was a like for with Jessa for example there was a point where I wasn't sure necessarily what she was going to do at the end. Like I was like
Hmm.
she could go one of two ways and there's a passage at the end where she realizes that like about Order 66 and that like what Anakin, you know, obviously she doesn't know it's Anakin, but like when she realizes like what happened in the temple, you know, as I was writing that, I started that paragraph not knowing which direction she was going to take, because it could have gone either way for her. Like I think that the sort of natural like us as the reader and even me as the writer, like, well, I know necessarily what the outcome would be. She like, oh my God, it's hurt. This is what has happened to the Jedi. I clearly need to protect this person. But for her, as I kept on going through that paragraph, I realized like, no, this is gonna like deepen her resolve. This is going to like show that like it's going to be because of what she believes. Like she believes this. And the moment I was just like, it was definitely one of those moments where, as a writer, I just kind of followed. I didn't guide. I just kind of I'm like, all right, this is where she's going. Yep, that's the end. And like, and when I wrote the original draft of the ending, I'm like, yeah, this is what she's doing. But again, like I didn't know. I didn't know till I got to that point.
Yeah. Sometimes you don't. And
Yeah.
then it just happens. And I think sometimes it's better off that way.
Yeah.
I think like as a writer, you kind of just have to, in a way, kind of let the story be what it wants to be.
Hmm.
Um, and it's hard to describe that to someone who doesn't write. Um,
Hmm.
but that's how it is.
Those normies with their regular brains.
Yeah, who have like, normal, stable jobs.
Yep.
Yeah,
And normal thoughts.
yep. Mm. Anyway, go read Star Wars
Anyway,
Insider.
it's issue 233. It's got a really great interview by Meg Dowell and an okay story by Adam Lance Garcia.
It's such a good story.
Thank you.
It's
Thank you very
so
much.
good. It's also like because you know, we just like submit the things. So
Hmm.
I don't get to see what it looks like on the magazine pages until I see the magazine. And so I'm flipping through. I'm like, oh, that's just like, I like how that looks. It's really
Yeah,
cool. It's really
it's
cool.
really is. There's no feeling like seeing yourself in print and like holding it. You're like,
Yeah,
"Ah, me, I'm there in the thing. It's so cool.
I did that.
You did that. You did that.
You did that.
You
We did
did
that.
that. We did that.
Look at us.
Look at us. Who would have thought? Not me.
Nope. Nope. Never. Never. Um, this has been great. And
It's always a pleasure.
I'm so like I don't always get to get deep into like the writing
Mm.
aspect with everyone, depending on who I'm talking to and what we're talking about. And like this was really great just to especially get into the whole like, hey, like writing is hard.
Yeah.
And it takes a long time to
Yep.
get to where you want to be.
Oh yeah.
But it's good. I think it's really good for people to hear that because and again, not in a way to like discourage anyone, but just to be like,
No.
hey, I believe in you, but you're
You
in
can
this
do
for the
it.
long haul. This is what
Yeah.
you really want.
Yep.
Um,
Yeah. If anyone ever tells you that writing is easy, they just want your money.
yeah.
That's what I always say. No, writing's hard, but it's like it is the most well, not maybe it might be the most rewarding thing I do. I mean,
Hmm.
not that like I have a lot of amazing things, but like there's something about writing that is very it is fundamental to who I am.
Hmm. Yeah. I always say I most feel like myself when I am writing.
Mm.
Um, yeah.
I mean, I don't know if you have this problem, but I definitely have this problem. My vacations are like excuses to write.
Yes. Yep.
It's like
Hmm.
I'm like you should take a break. I'm like I am taking a break. I'm
Hmm.
writing.
Yeah, I'm taking a break from my day job so I can do the job I actually want to be doing.
Yeah.
No, no, I get that.
Yeah.
Um, it really is though a dream come true to be writing Star Wars things and talking to Star Wars people. And you know what? I'll say it. I'm proud of us. I am.
You're proud of us. Proud of
Um,
you.
yeah, we're doing
Yeah.
great.
We're doing great.
And you'll be back at some point to talk about
Yes.
something. Even
I hope so.
just we can talk about Legends. I don't care what it is. We'll figure it out.
Always happy to talk about Star
Um,
Wars.
because I read that I finished the whole new Jedi. No, oh my God,
You can do it.
New
I've
Jedi
been.
Order.
Yeah. It's a trip.
Oh,
It's a trip.
I did the whole thing.
Yeah.
And haven't really talked about it that much because honestly, I'm still processing because I read it way too fast. It's not meant to be read
No.
all in a
I
row
mean,
like that.
I read them mostly all in a row as well,
Mm.
because I had a bad habit of like waiting for the books to all come out and then
Okay.
like read them through. I used
Hmm.
to do that a lot with like the trilogies and things like that because I just wanted to read it. Like I wanted to binge read it essentially.
Hmm.
The New Jedi Order is weird.
Yes.
It's weird. I mean, like I think I mean Jordan Mason did an article I think for Nerdist recently that kind of like captured like all the positives and negatives of that era.
Mm.
Um, what my favorite thing about it, and I think the biggest thing that like the High Republic owes to the New Jedi Order, and why I hold it in high regard in spite of and because of its flaws, is because it's changed the status quo. I mean, if you I think there's a lot of value in sort of like here's this story of like Luke, like post Return of the Jedi, and like nothing really like nothing really changes. It's like here's like a new adventure with these characters. I always think there's a lot of room for like here's this adventure with Luke, here's this adventure with Han, like here's this adventure with Rey that is not going to be galactic galaxy defining, but it's just another adventure. There's a lot of value in that. But I think what's interesting about the Bantam era, yeah, of Legends, is there was a lot of things that felt like galaxy ending moments. Like I always think about the Black Fleet Crisis as like an example of like it wasn't bad. I mean, it was. I think Michael Q.B. McDowell, like there was a decent trilogy
Mm.
for what it was, but I think it suffered from the fact that like you have to make this like big galactic event that's like feels really important, and then nothing changes at the end of it, and because of like the way these books were released, like they were bouncing back and forth in the timeline, so things that weren't always consistent, and you're like, or they're not referencing things that happened immediately beforehand or whatever that you would think would like be effective. So it was really nice to have like a book series that was like, hey, we're actually gonna like move forward, things are gonna change, characters are gonna die, the galaxy is gonna change. And that was like the thing that I always look back at the New Jedi Order and be like, oh my God, like, the beginning of the story is not the same as the end of the story. Um, was that always successful? Your mileage may vary. Um, I think that Jason should have turned evil into Darth Caedus? That's a different story. Um, you know, uh, but at the same time, it's like I think it showed what you could potentially do with Star Wars, and I think that's like the best. Like that's the best thing that I think that ever came out of it. It's just like you could actually advance the narrative. You could actually change things.
Mm.
It is kind of weird that the Yuuzhan Vong are never mentioned again, and Sonoma Sakat just kind of disappears. But again, I feel like that like I think different era, things were different back then.
Mhm.
But yeah,
Well, I know what we're going to talk about when you come back. That's for
there you
sure.
go. Yeah, I like it'd be hilarious, and I want to be clear, I'm not doing that right now. That I want to be very, very clear that I'm not sitting here and saying my next story is that I'm making a Yuuzhan Vong canon. I'm not, but it'd be really hilarious if that's what it turned out to be. Um, it's again, I want to be very, very clear. As on August 26, 2025, there are no plans for Adam Lance Garcia to write a Yuuzhan Vong story. But it will be hilarious. It would be hilarious if that's actually what happens. If my third story is just like, "Hi Meg, so I'm writing the Yuuzhan Vong versus Ray or something like that." Again, that is not happening. I know of no plans for the Yuuzhan Vong. I know as much as you do, but it would be hilarious if that's what happens.
You're really trusting me a lot with the
I,
fact that I
I
have full editing control.
You have full editing control. Yeah, that's why I'm like saying it as quickly as often as possible.
Um, this has been great. And you know what? I kept you for so much longer than I meant to, but that is
Huh?
because we have so many good things to talk about.
So many good things to talk about.
Um, and I love it. And I love it. And that's why you're coming back.
Yes.
Um, anything Star Wars, non-Star Wars, besides why did I say it like that? Anything you want to plug that you're working on, that you've released recently, anything that you want everyone to know
Um.
that you've done
Well,
besides this.
besides Star Wars Insider number 233 with Found the Light, things I can talk about. If you want to see how I grew as a writer, the Green Llama, that's 1L, books are a really interesting place to read. Like I haven't really revisited them recently, so I'm kind of curious to see how they hold up. But that's where I cut my teeth as a writer. I have a lot of other short stories like on Occupied Earth, and I also did a Green Llama audio drama, which is a big part of why I'm writing Star Wars now. And I'm very proud of that. That was produced during COVID. It's for free on any podcast app. So if you're just like, I just want to listen to 8 episodes, 30 minutes each with an hour long finale, that you can kind of binge watch and binge listen to a day. I'm really proud of that. I am working on an original sci-fi novel. I'm hopefully finishing it at the end of this year. What can I talk about?
It's hard, I know.
No, no, it's really it's a new problem. I'm not mad at it.
Uh,
I'm really not mad about it. Yeah. That is what I can talk about. That's all I'm
that
what
is such a good problem to have.
yeah, it's a good problem to have. Yeah,
Yeah.
so if you want to read more of my work, just go into Amazon or your local bookseller. Look up Adam Lance Garcia. There's the Green Llama novels, which are great. The Green Llama audio drama, free on all your favorite podcast apps. And There's Sons of Fire, which is an original graphic novel that I've been self-publishing on and off for the last God knows how long. And yeah, one day I will tell you what else I'm working on. Hopefully, the original sci-fi novel I can possibly talk about, but I'm not done with it yet. It's I'm excited about it. I'm really excited about it, but I have to finish it first. And you can follow me, and if and last thing I say, like, you follow me on Blue Sky, Adam Lance Garcia, Instagram at Adam Lance Garcia. Those are the two social medias that I use. And if you're curious as to what I do for a living, watch Vanity Fair on YouTube. There's some really cool videos coming out. It's a very, very silly job that I get to do for a living. I'm trying to think what's coming out soon. Yeah, I can't talk about those either, but they're really fun. I did a picture. I interviewed Pedro Pascal. He's great. He's as charming as you hope him to be. That I can't speak about because it's out. So that's nice. If you do watch the Pedro Pascal video with scene selection, you will see my Grogu that I flew across the Atlantic to as a prop. So yeah. That's me.
Thank you so much for coming back. And
anytime.
As always, you will be back again.
I will be back.
You will. In one way or another.
Use and Vong, baby.
No. Now This Is Lit is part of the Faraway Fandom Network. It is produced by Devor Mondum and written, hosted, and edited by me. Jose Jimenez designed our podcast art. You can keep up with the show on Substack at Now This Is Lit, and find the show wherever you get your podcasts. There are so many ways you can support the show, and all of those ways are linked in the show description. The newest way is to become a member of our Patreon. For $1 a month, you can get access to an exclusive show and a sticker. And if we get 500 people to support the Patreon per month, I can hire an editor. That would be great for me, and maybe for you too. So if you'd like to support the show with just $1 a month, you can do it that way. Or you can just keep listening and sharing the episodes. That is also helpful, and I appreciate it. For more book reviews and Star Wars Book Celebration, follow Star Wars Book Reviews on Instagram and TikTok.